All right, everybody, welcome to week three. They seem to be melting away. Only really four more until your final paper and your presentations are due. So it goes really quickly, so please stay on task. First and foremost, your first assignment went great. Annotated bibliographies look properly structured. References were cited accurately using APA. And the type of references that you all were finding, I felt, were on the right track. Some places to avoid. Try not to overly utilize the firm's website, as mentioned in last week's introduction. Again, they're going to put themselves in the best light, in the best view. You're trying to be critical here and assess the marketplace and assess these firms from an outside perspective. Secondly, try to not necessarily find events or historical pieces that are very common to the industry as a whole. You want to find things that are specific to the firms, whether it's an action they took or a historical event that they seized opportunity upon. Those are the type of things that you'll want to use to argue their historical reasoning of competitive advantage. So technology, mergers and acquisitions, patents, changes in management style, changes in recipes. These are all going to be places that you would say, hey, these were things that these companies did that other firms did not. They seized upon and it moved them to a higher profitable position. Okay, so moving forward, do this again, but now with respect to competitive advantage. Now, you're going to see a lot of overlap between last week and this week, but you're going to have a bit more of a refined sense now. So what you want to be doing again is looking for things that you believe are truly competitive advantage. And what you'll find in this week's lecture is that means things that are valuable, rare, hard to imitate, hard to recreate, things that another company just did not figure out. More on that in just a second. A word of advice. Some of you, a few of you, started writing. Great idea. Okay, the more that you can do now, the less you will have to do later and the less stressful it'll be. Plus, I'm going to get a chance to look at how you're writing and offer you ideas early on so that you'll have even a clearer expectation of what is needed for that final paper. So a couple of other things related to that. If you say, hey, I'm going to start doing that, cite as you write. So you don't want to have to go back and say, where did that come from? It's fresh on your brain now. Put in the few extra seconds to just reference any type of fact or figure or argument that you found. Just put it in there, get it done, so that at least you'll know, hey, I'm well documented. That's not going to be a problem. Secondly, try to avoid using any type of personal voice here, anecdotal voice here. You are an outside examiner, and this paper is a research-based paper. So I recognize that you're not the expert here. That's not the task. The task is to create a coherent argument and then say this is my conclusive argument based upon this evidence. So try to avoid any kind of personal expressions. Keep it very, very professionally written. Okay, now with respect to this week, so now you're going to refine your idea of what a competitive advantage is. So you found historical events that you thought were useful in describing these firms' position. Well, now we're going to develop and use a tool that's going to help you say, are these really competitive advantage? Simply put, if another firm can do it, if they can see it and they can recreate it, it's not. If another firm has done something similar wrapped up in a different package, it's not. These are just competitive par events. These are things that companies do and they have to do, otherwise they'll fall out of competitive position. What you're trying to do is find an argument that says these are things that these companies do that are so unique, it must be why they're profitable. It must explain why they can charge more than direct cost. It must be why they continue to gain market share. Okay, so you're really trying to get at what you believe initially are going to be their core competencies that lead to competitive advantage. Going forward, every next section is basically going to say, what are the things that are going to attack these competitive advantages and what are these firms going to have to start to think about? How have they reacted? How are they going to have to react? Okay, so take a look at this week's lecture. Take a look at the assignment. Please get in touch with me if you have any questions. Week 3 is going to come to a close soon. Get ahead of the game if you get my drift. Start getting your assignments in early. and I think that you will be happier this week by doing so. All right, I'll talk to you soon.